Good morning. I'm Stephanie Klasky Gamer, President and CEO of LA Family Housing. I'm so excited and proud to be here with all of you to begin the critical step to ending homelessness in people's lives, to building new homes. I'm pleased to share this day with the chairman of our board of directors, Gary Mizell, as well as my friend and colleague and partner, Mark Wilson, as well as his board chair, Antonio Manning. Also my friend. And I'm honored that Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas and Councilmember Curran Price are here to share our celebration with us this morning. On behalf of both of our agencies, our boards of directors, and our incredible staff, thank you for joining us on this beautiful Los Angeles morning to celebrate the groundbreaking of Residences on Main. Today, you are supporting our collective goal to move more families and youth experiencing homelessness into affordable homes. Many of you may not know LA Family Housing's 35-year history, and the fact that the very first affordable homes that we built back in the early 1980s were right here in South LA in the 9th City Council District. Back then, there were a group of concerned citizens that came together to respond to what they saw as a growing crisis amongst homeless families. They formed LA Family Housing and built our first 4 apartment buildings not far from here on surplus city land. Imagine that. 3 decades later, our agency has about 27 properties throughout the city, and we're excited to begin our next development in partnership with CRCD, which has worked for years to strengthen this community and our affordable housing industry as a whole. Building affordable housing is the answer to ending our homeless crisis in Los Angeles. But if we want to prevent people from falling back into homelessness again, we know that we must provide them with the tools they need to thrive. The combination of housing with supportive services is critical to breaking that cycle of homelessness in people's lives. Both of our agencies have a legacy of building communities and strengthening people to reclaim their futures, to create their own success. Both Mark and I and our organizations understand that the sense of empowerment begins with the dignity of a home.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our agency's shared commitment to the success of program participants is one of the reasons that LA Family Housing is proud to partner with the team at the Coalition for Responsible Community Development. Together, we will support more families and young adults successfully transition out of homelessness. As CRCD states in their tagline, "Together we are changing lives. We are building better communities." Please welcome CRCD's Board Chair, Antonio Manning.
Thank you. Good morning. Is it morning or afternoon? Morning, right? Morning. On behalf of the board and staff of CRCD, we welcome you. This is a big day for us. This has been part of a 10-year journey and a more recent 5-year plan to continue to house, educate, train, and employ our young people. This is also important to me because I grew up not too far from here. So it's always good to return home and be part of something special like the Residences on Main. So I want to thank LA Family Housing for partnering with us on this. Certainly Rushmore and his team over at the city, Councilman Price and Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, and I definitely have to give a shout out to my former employer, JP Morgan Chase, for stepping up to the plate, so thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing our fearless leader, Mark Wilson.
Thank you, Antonio, and thank you all for coming out to celebrate with us something that has been in the making for quite some time. I definitely want to thank Stephanie and her team at LA Family Housing. This would definitely not be possible without them, without their vision as part of this project and commitment to South LA and this neighborhood, and we appreciate the journey that we will continue to be on for some time. At CRCD, we consider ourselves a youth-centered community development corporation based in South LA, particularly this neighborhood. So working with young people is in the DNA of our organization, making sure that they have the platform and the opportunities to succeed. And part of that journey is ensuring that they have a community that is thriving economically and socially as well so that they can be successful. And CRCD, in partnership with several organizations, is making that possible for our young people. I am very proud of this project and proud of the partnership for allowing the vision to be incorporated within the tenant mix, because many of you may know or may not know that out of the 50 units, 25 of the units will be committed to transition-age youth experiencing homelessness. Yes. A lot of times it's hard, at least when I go into meetings, to talk about the fact that young people are experiencing homelessness as well. And sometimes it's hard for people to believe that an 18 and a 19-year-old is sleeping on the streets or sleeping in a car or sleeping in a park. And I'm here to stand and say that that is true, but I'm also here to stand and say in partnership with LA Family that we're doing something about it by bringing permanent supportive housing with services to this community and for our young people. Yes, give it up. Before I reach my limit, there's a special group of people that was here about 20 years ago. I just have to acknowledge the city attorney's office. They're sitting right there, my good friend Ann Tremblay and Mary. Many of you may not know, and I can definitely appreciate that the buildings that stood here before were what we call, let's just say, problem properties. It was a lot of problems at that property. But with the good work of the city attorney's office, that property was able to be closed down and then demoed because it created havoc, particularly on a great school across the street, Bethune Middle School. We got the principal in the house. Thank you. And so now you're going to see 50 units of something beautiful that's actually going to contribute to the wealth and greatness of this community in South LA. And so thank you guys, and we look forward to partnering with Bethune and the community as we go forward. Now I would like to bring up a very special person who has gone through CRCD's programs. She is actually one of the successful, I want to say, students at LA Trade Tech Community College, about to complete education, the first leg of her education at Trade Tech Community College, y'all, and it's in construction. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She took a knacking and sent the guys packing when it came to construction classes, and she leads. She's one of the #1 students in that class, but she actually came through one of CRCD's programs. So I've been so proud of her. And so without further ado, I would like to bring up Janelle Chavez.
Good morning. All right, let me just get myself together. Okay. So good morning and welcome to the groundbreaking event. Can everybody hear me clearly? All right, cool. So my name is Janelle Chavez, and I am a CRCD 2014 alumni. As a youth here in Los Angeles, I experienced many roadblocks, like growing up in a broken home and experiencing homelessness at a very young age. I've been kicked out of multiple high schools. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of nervous, sorry. I've been kicked out of multiple high schools, so I turned my attention to the streets because I was never taught the importance of education and self-love. Later, turning 18, I was thrown out of homes and rejected by adult schools. I was on the verge of losing all hope until I learned about opportunities at CRCD. That was my turning point there. Getting the support and resources that I needed, I finally received my high school diploma, have gained carpentry skills, and also have a place to call home. Today, I am 25 years old. I'm a full-time student pursuing a career in carpentry, and I also work part-time at Los Angeles Trade Tech construction, maintenance, and utility department. Thank you. My dream is to become a general contractor of an all-women's crew. Right now, like I said, I'm currently studying carpentry and will eventually go into electrical, HVAC, and plumbing later on in my lifetime. I know that it will take a lot of work, but I believe in myself. And with the program like LA Housing and CRCD, I know youth in the community will have the same opportunity as I do. I want to say thank you to CRCD and LA Housing for taking the steps together to elevate and continue spreading love across Los Angeles. I'm excited to be a part of this event right now. Yeah, I don't know, like I'm really nervous. So as a construction student, I know that it takes a village to bring this dream to life. So thank you all for supporting and coming together, and I'm excited to see what's to come in the future. Thank you guys.
Give it up one more time for Janelle. I guess we'll be subcontracting with you at some point, huh? All right. We're going to hold you to it. All right. So now I want to bring up someone who needs no introduction but has been a champion for moving several measures forward and champion those measures so that we can seek the resources in the county, but particularly in South LA, that's required to do projects like this. So not only has his efforts impacted the future tenants that will be residing at Residence on Main, his work has impacted the lives of so many tens of thousands of young people and residents throughout the county of Los Angeles and especially throughout South Los Angeles. And yes, I'm talking about Supervisor Mark Riley Thomas. If I can bring him up.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give Mark a big round of applause for his work and his. I think you can do just a little better than that. Let's give Mark a big round of applause for his work. Thank you, Stephanie, Gary, and Antonio, for your leadership and the work that has been done, the work that's being done right now, and the work that will be done well into the future. I want to pause right now and give a particular note of praise to Janelle. Why don't we give her another big round of applause? You all are just a little too tepid to be encouraging anybody. Give that young lady some love. It makes a difference. We are here to give appropriate acknowledgement to the LA Housing team in its entirety. We are here to celebrate residences on Main and the 25 young adults and the 24 families with children who will reside here in, and we are pleased to just be associated with this forward-moving effort. Today is an illustration of how LA County, LA City, and our private sector partners like LA Family Housing and the Coalition for Responsible Community Development are building service-enriched housing and at the same time rebuilding lives. If you celebrate rebuilding lives, just clap your hands and say rebuilding lives is what it's all about. That's what it's about. And so Proposition HH8 and county CDC funds will do what they do to help with construction. HACLA will provide the rental subsidies, and Measure H will fund the on-site supportive services for the tenants. It takes everybody bringing what they can to the effort in order to build a project like this and sustain it toward the objectives that we hope to fulfill. Public-private partnership at its best. We say this is Measure H at work. This is the fruit of collective and community action. And so let's continue to say yes to more stable housing coupled with supportive services, like residents on Main, because saying yes is a whole lot better than saying no. And let's say yes to more opportunities for our residents to thrive. We ought to say yes to more inclusive neighborhoods, neighborhoods that elevate the quality of life and give young people a sense of purpose and opportunity. I think we ought to say yes. Anybody here can say yes today? Say yes. And the overarching goal is to ensure that anyone who calls Los Angeles home is able to live a life of dignity and purpose. I can say yes to that right there. I look forward to returning next summer to celebrate the grand opening of Residences on Main and to meet the new tenants. I like groundbreakings, but I like grand openings a whole lot better. And a quick shout out to LA Family Housing for returning to their roots here in South Los Angeles, for doing what they do, and CRCD for collaborating. It takes everybody bringing what they can to the effort in order to accomplish these goals. Building these projects is not easy. Even when the resources are available, it takes a lot of work, a lot of creativity, a lot of ingenuity. It is not for the faint of heart. This is the third groundbreaking that I've been present at this week, and so I want it to be said here and now that Los Angeles is on the move to build more affordable housing, more permanent supportive housing, to cause people to have the opportunity to live fully in the context of a democratic society that insists that housing is a fundamental right. And to the extent that that is the case, you ought to celebrate the fact that you are here witnessing this important effort yet again. Well, much of what is happening here today is in no small measure attributable to the work of the leader of this councilmanic district. He is the Honorable Curran D. Price, the councilman for the New Ninth. Give him a round of applause as he comes forward. Thank you, Councilman Price. Yeah, that would be Councilman Price right there. I said Councilman Price 4 times, and I wonder, well, the dramatic effect is when you come here and conclude your remarks. Come on up here. Give him another round of applause. A colleague of mine for 900 years, Curran D. Price.
Let's give it up to our supervisor, always a strong leader and an advocate, right, for affordable housing, housing in general, but certainly affordable housing, not just throughout the 2nd Supervisorial District, but also here in CD9. Let's give it up again for our supervisor. I'm just so excited to be here at the Residences on Main, 69th and Main. If you're interested in knowing, my residence is on 38th and Main. So I'm happy to welcome you to the neighborhood. And it's always a treat. We have lots of friends here. Let me just give a shout out to our Deputy Mayor Brenda Shockley, who's in the house. Yeah, you know, the comments from our supervisor are certainly timely. And I think it's significant when you have the city have the county, you have nonprofits collaborating, coming together, solving problems, making things happen. And so it's important that we just acknowledge the individuals who, and the organizations who help make that happen. Certainly, we want to give a shout out to the Coalition for Responsible Community Development and its board and Mark Wilson. Under Mark's leadership, CRCD has made an impact not only in housing, but keeping the streets cleaner, greener, creating programs to empower our youth, and creating hundreds of jobs, hundreds of jobs. Let's give it up for CRCD. We acknowledge the LA Family Housing that's come back home, and we certainly appreciate their leadership in tireless efforts to aid families and individuals transitioning out of homelessness through supportive services, and they've been able to do this all over our area, and so we are pleased that this project here in CD9. Special shout out, of course, to the Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department. Rushmore, Cervantes, and team are here. And again, you know, the department really doesn't get enough accolades, but they do a superlative job under sometimes not the best circumstances, but are working all throughout our city, making resources available and making a difference, stabilizing and creating the kind of well-being that we all want, and that's so important. And so, Rushmore, thank you. You're going to be hearing from Rushmore in a minute. But it's truly an honor to be here representing the new Ninth. And I'm elated to break ground on this new 50-unit apartment complex that's going to create space and hope for families and youth that at one point didn't think they had any opportunity. You heard the stories about how this was a problem site, you know, and the temerity of it being a problem site right across the street from the school. You know, the gangsters and folks who don't care just don't care. You know, I understand there were numerous meetings, community meetings, at the school about this site. Ann had some role, where's Ann? As a city attorney at the time, helped to, there she is, helped to get this place cleaned up. Let's give it up to Ann Tremblay, who now is helping us with our gang. But 25 units designed for the chronically homeless and transitional youth. Again, 24 hours for homeless families. Again, Mr. Supervisor, these are two of the most vulnerable areas that we have. Two of the most vulnerable classes. So we're happy to see this project come forward, not only providing a roof, but giving them hope and opportunity to create a home, a community, and to become self-sufficient. And those are the things that are so important in not just economic development, but community economic development. There is a difference. This is possible, and this is going to be important, having on-site supportive services, available green space. At one time, Mark, there was supposed to be a garden. Was that still the plans on this site? There's a garden? Yeah, okay. So we'll have a garden, some green space, and access to technology. You know, and they're going to have access to the resources that CRCD has in a variety of job training, education, and assistance programs. But together, we want the neighbors to get to know each other, to grow together, and that's what this project is designed to do, is to bring people together. That's the kind of future I want to imagine for our kids, for our families, and for our seniors. And that's important that we work toward that. That's one of the reasons why I fought so hard to raise the minimum wage, $15 an hour, giving people a living wage so that they can provide for their families. That's why we banned the box from job applications, so that individuals with criminal records wouldn't be penalized when they sought employment or an apartment or credit. That's why projects like this are so important to me. The Paul Williams project down at Jefferson and Central is almost complete. And as a result of my office's collaboration with the developer, a majority of the households that will be moving to that complex are from the 9th District. That may be over the heads of some of you, but frequently these projects don't necessarily, aren't necessarily enjoyed by the people who live in the area. And so certainly people in need are able to come to these, to able to be a part of these housing developments. but frequently they come from out of the area. And so we made a special effort to make sure that folks in the neighborhood found out about the opportunity, were able to apply, and hopefully be selected. And we hope that same thing is going to happen here. The 50 units that we're breaking ground on today will complement close to 1,500 units of affordable housing that are in the pipeline here in CD9, something I'm very, very proud of. And again, while not all of them are going to serve families and transitioning youth like the residences on Main, they will help to ease the current housing crisis. Now, you should know that we are proud of the progress that we're making here in the new Ninth. And I look forward to coming back here with the supervisor and all of you in 2020 for the ribbon cutting and welcoming all the families that will be part of the fabric of our South LA community. That's what makes a difference. That's what makes us stronger. And that's what makes this project so exciting. So congratulations. And we look forward, as I said, not only to the groundbreaking, but for the ribbon cutting. Let's do it. Next, it's my pleasure to bring to the stage Christina Miller, Deputy Mayor for City Homelessness Initiatives, to share a few words from the department.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to Janelle one more time. I'm still feeling moved. You are an inspiration. The future is female. Thank you for your courage. Anything you say is much more impactful, I think, than anyone else here can say. Thank you. How's everyone doing today? Good. Thank you so much, Council Member, for that warm introduction. And thank you for your leadership in our fight to solve homelessness in the city. I just want to say, whenever I come to an LA Family Housing event, it feels like I'm coming home. It was 10 years ago that I started off as an entry-level case manager with LA Family Housing, and it's amazing to see the progress and the growth that this agency has undergone in the last decade. I remember 6 years ago standing at the ribbon cutting of their first permanent supportive housing building on Glen Oaks Boulevard and thinking, oh my gosh, this place is amazing. And so just to reflect on that and look at the progress that we've made since then is really remarkable. And last year, Councilmember Price and the rest of the City Council adopted a resolution to build 222 units of supportive housing in each council district. And I'm proud to say the council member, you are way ahead of that goal here in Council District 9. Thank you for that. You also stepped up to the challenge with the mayor's Bridge Home program and have 100 beds we're about to break ground on soon that will hopefully be opening this fall, and another project in the works. Earlier this week, I attended another groundbreaking for a Bridge Home with Supervisor Ridley Thomas. I feel like we run into each other almost every week now at these groundbreakings. A week before that, there was a walkthrough with the mayor at Casa Azul, another project in Council District 1, which will bring 41 beds for women and families in the MacArthur Park area. And just weeks before that, went to a grand opening of a shelter in Hollywood that'll bring 70 beds online for people who are on the streets in Hollywood. So there is so much happening in the city today. And a big thanks to Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas. Your leadership and partnership with the city is resulting in the strongest homelessness safety net in the country. I'm so happy to be here to represent Mayor Eric Garcetti and to celebrate the groundbreaking of this Prop HHH supported development today. Was that the right number of H's? Was that 4? I meant 3, HHH. Not just because it's one of the 108 supportive housing projects in the pipeline since voters passed the initiative in 2016. Can I just say that again? 108 supportive housing projects in the pipeline. That is, yes, that is huge. But because it'll bring online 50 much-needed units for homeless families and transitional age youth, as you've heard, and that is worth celebrating. Because getting here, as you heard, wasn't easy. So I want to echo the thanks to everyone who was involved in this project, especially Rushmore Cervantes and his amazing staff at our Housing and Community Investment Department for financing this project with our limited local resources. But also to Doug Guthrie, who I don't know if he snuck in or not, and his staff at the Housing Authority for providing the operating assistance to this project. As the mayor has said about other supportive housing projects, these homes are what we make possible when we open our doors without fear, our resources without restraint, and our hearts without judgment. Congratulations to everyone. I also just want to give a huge shout out to all the outreach workers, all the frontline staff, all the housing case managers, all the service providers on the front line. You are the reason, you are the pathway for people coming into these units and calling a place called home. So a huge shout out to the people there on the front lines, and to the support service staff at CRCD, who will be providing the retention services and keeping people in housing once they enter these units. So I can't say enough about that. Now I'd like to introduce the Mayor's General Manager for the Housing and Community Investment Department, the dedicated public servant who's leading the city's implementation of Prop HHH, Rushmore Cervantes. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Miller. Thank you once again for those comments. It is a pleasure to be here representing HCID. I stand before you, but with 600 to 700 employees that stand behind me that do all the lion's share of the work. I want to acknowledge Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas for getting H passed, of course, Mayor Eric Garcetti for HHH. They provided the resources for us, but I really need to commend Councilman Price, because in as much as that he is achieving the 222 unit goal that every council person signed up for, he has gone well beyond that, and we meet on a monthly basis and we go over each and every project in his district, and he's constantly pounding the table. We need it faster, we need it better. So I commend him for continuing to push forward. It's reflective of your leadership, Councilman, that we're here today not only to just have another groundbreaking, but a groundbreaking in this particular area for what was previously a very blighted property. HCID in particular had a significant role in this project. Right now, HCID has over 50 parcels of city land that we're developing, some of which were CRA properties. As you may have heard in prior comments, that this was one of the former CRA properties that was acquired many years ago due to the blighted conditions in the area. So as we go through the city is actually putting forward it's putting its money where its mouth is. It's putting all its resources up front, trying to get property built with supportive housing as well as affordable housing. And this is obviously combining this parcel along with the parcel next to it. We were able to allocate this property to the development team of CRCD and LA Family Housing, along with $1 million loan for that land acquisition. But furthermore, we issued $16.7 million in tax-exempt bonds, as well as would awarded $10.8 million of HHH funds. $10.8 million, significant. And of course, we couldn't do it our partners, and of course, Doug Guthrie and his team at HACLA have been called out. We are in every single project together for supportive housing. We could not do this without their vouchers to provide the rental assistance, and of course, the wraparound services that are funded by Measure H. I think it's important to also note, as Christine indicated, we have 108 projects in the pipeline. We've basically tripled the pipeline of our projects within 2.5 years of the voters passing HHH. I mean, that's a tremendous uplift in total projects, and when we hear those numbers, I know that our staff is just shaking their heads like, oh my God, there's a lot of projects in the queue. And for those staff that are here today, Ed Gibson, Tim Elliott, Franklin Campos, Rick Tontat, Maggie Zaharian, and others that I don't see, I would thank you for all of your work throughout the years in getting these projects not only to the point where we're ready to develop these city-owned parcels, but private parcels, and bring them to fruition. These are very complex financing projects with multiple layers, and as you heard, we contributed quite a bit of our own city resources to make this happen, and we don't care, who comes in first or who comes in last. Bottom line is we've got to get these projects financed and financed as quickly as possible. And as you've heard from the number of projects that are in the queue and more that's coming, it's going to be a daunting task, but at the same time, I think the taxpayers and the constituents are going to see a wave of projects coming to fruition, not only from the groundbreakings and the ribbon cuttings. And so Supervisor Ridley-Thomas, you might as well get your schedule cleared up, because there's going to be a lot of groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings coming. So be prepared. So it's great to see you here. So I think it's also important to note that all those projects that we referenced as far as in our pipeline, that's over 5,300 units of supportive housing in the queue, with a total of 7,300 units that includes affordable as well as supportive housing, with our goal to achieve 10,000 units over a 10-year period. And I think that this project in particular is a shining example of how public and private partnerships work and how city resources can be cobbled together along with using city land to really maximize our resources. So it's actually a thrill to be here today to represent the department, but obviously it's a bigger thrill to be able to represent the city of Los Angeles for this great project. So thank you very much for your time this morning. So with that, I'd like to bring up Stephanie.
As all of our speakers have said, it has been a collaborative effort, and we're so appreciative of all of our partners, but particularly of our funding partners. So it's now my honor to recognize all of our funding partners who have made Residences on Main possible. I'm really just going through a list. I don't believe we have anybody here from TCAC, from the California Tax Credit Allocation Committee. Is anybody here from the state? So know that this is a bond deal with an allocation of tax credits from the state. Our investor in the tax credits is Freddie Mac and the National Equity Fund, represented here by LA Family Housing's board member, Debbie Burkhart. We had $11 million worth of equity in this deal through the sale of credits. As has been mentioned, we had $10.8 million from HCID, thank you, represented by Rushmore. I should say, if I am listing your agency, know that we're going to be taking our fun photo shoot. So if you're in this list, afterwards we're going to take a photo shoot when Mark is done. We also couldn't do this work without the partnership of the county and the LA County Community Development Commission. I believe Amelia Soto is here. Hi, Amelia. Thank you. That was a $3 million loan from the county. We were allocated, we also received funding from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco with the Affordable Housing Programs grant sponsored by City National Bank. As has been mentioned, we're grateful for the rental subsidies provided by the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. We were able to begin the project. Despite it being a city-owned land, we still had to go through the process like any other deal. And we couldn't do that without our pre-development funding. And we received pre-development loans both from the Corporation for Supportive Housing as well as the Local Initiative Support Corporation, or LISC. And finally, probably the organization or the funding partner that takes on the greatest risk because they lend us money during construction. They don't know that everyone else is going to come in and pay them back. No. We are grateful for our partnership with Chase Bank for providing the construction loan. Margie, why don't you come on up? Margie Francis is coming to speak and represent the bank, but she did remind me something kind of sweet this morning, and I thank you for the memory, that her very first job out of graduate school, I got to be her boss. I forgot that. So thank you very much, and thank you to Chase.
Well, good afternoon now, everyone. I'm super excited to be here on behalf of JP Morgan Chase's Community Development Banking Group. First of all, congratulations to LA Family Housing and CRCD on breaking ground on Residences on Main. Chase is extremely proud to have been a part of this project, knowing that we're going to have quality, permanent supportive housing available for youth and families. Our banking group, our primary focus is to finance the construction and rehab of affordable housing for low-income individuals and families. And we do that by really investing in quality affordable projects like this one. Our goal is to be a key financial partner and ensuring that everybody has access to affordable housing and ensuring economic mobility for some of our most underserved communities. And we take this commitment very seriously at Chase. We're a major lender, investor, and philanthropic grant provider, community development projects. And to that end, over the last decade, we've committed over $12 billion in investing in quality affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization projects. But of course, we need all the funding partners, so I won't go through the list, but it takes a whole village to get these projects to this point in time. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this, knowing that now, next year there will be 50 units to serve now youth and families that were formerly homeless is extremely fulfilling. Lastly, on a personal level, as Stephanie had mentioned, I've been involved in the field now for almost 2 decades. I remember being in grad school, working on performance next to Alejandro, crunching numbers on a hypothetical project, and now here we are looking at a real project. And so for me, it's just personally rewarding to know that in some small part of being a part of this all, it's extremely rewarding. So again, thank you everybody, congratulations, and I look forward to the grand opening soon.
Thank you again to J.P. Morgan Chase. Yes, we can clap. We're almost to the finish line, folks. I'm proud to give thanks and celebration to some folks that are going to be busy over the next year putting this together, but also giving a shout out to the people that made it happen. First, I want to thank the architect with Y&M Architects. It's Manuel Salazar. There he is. Thank you, sir. Our general contractor, who will be competing with Janelle in the future, Dreyfus Construction, Jim Dreyfus. Want to give a special shout out to Jim because Jim is working with our team, and they're working with our team to look at how we can get local folks hired on the project, so they're building in their neighborhoods. So special shout out to Jim and Dreyfus for that. Our construction management, AMJ Construction, Gonzalo Gonzalez. There he is. At LA Family Housing, Daniel, are you in the house? Daniel, see you. One of the hardest working men right there to make it happen at LA Family Housing and make sure these projects happen. It's Catherine Aguilar in the house. Catherine. Again, at CRCD, Alejandro Martinez and Jared Moore right there that make it happen. And with that saying and concluding, if I can just have the LA Family Housing and CRCD team, just throw your hands up, because these are the folks that make it happen every day for getting projects like this done. So thank you all.